Welcome to Ancestral Garden. What if I told you that the greatest fertilizer in history does not come in a plastic bag? It does not smell. It does not cost $50 a sack. And the chemical companies are terrified of it. It is a single piece of copper wire. This is a technology that once grew cabbages the size of basketballs and tripled crop yields in the 1920s. The French government even patented it. But today, if you ask a modern agronomist about it, they will laugh. They will call it magic. They will call it pseudoscience. Why was a technology that could feed the world for pennies erased from the history books? To understand the answer, you have to look at what happened in 1945. When World War II ended, the global powers had a problem. They had massive factories built to produce nitrates for bombs and explosives. Suddenly, there was no war. The factories were silent. So they made a business decision. They rebranded the explosives. They put them in bags. And they sold them to farmers as synthetic nitrogen fertilizer. They created a $200 billion industry that requires you to pay for every single inch of growth. But nature has a different power source. It is invisible. It is free. And it is all around you right now. It is called atmospheric electricity, also known as the ether. And with one simple copper antenna, you can harness this energy to unlock the true potential of your soil. By the end of this video, I will show you exactly how to build this device in 5 minutes using scraps from your garage. But first, we have to understand why they don't want you to know it exists. To understand this lost technology, you have to stop thinking like a chemist and start thinking like an electrician. We are taught that plants need chemicals to grow. We are told to add nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But have you ever walked into a deep forest? Look at the giant redwoods. Look at the ancient oaks. Nobody is fertilizing them. Nobody is spraying them with Miracle-Gro. Yet they grow hundreds of feet tall. They are immune to disease. How the answer lies in the voltage. The earth is a giant magnet. It carries a negative charge. The atmosphere above us carries a positive charge. And the trees. They are the wires that connect the two. Every single plant is an antenna. It is designed by nature to pull this atmospheric energy known as chi, prana, or the ether, down into the soil. When this electrical current hits the roots, something incredible happens. It stimulates the microbes, it unlocks the minerals, it allows the plant to absorb nutrients 10 times faster than normal. But in our modern gardens, we have broken this connection. We put plants in plastic pots that insulate them from the ground. We use synthetic fertilizers that disturb the soil's conductivity. We have unplugged the machine. But don't just take my word for it. You have seen this phenomenon with your own eyes. I guarantee it. I want you to access your memory bank right now. Think about the last time a heavy thunderstorm rolled through your town. There was lightning. There was thunder. The air felt electric. The next morning, when you looked at your lawn or your garden, did you notice something strange? The grass wasn't just wet. It was a shocking, vibrant green. It looked like it grew 2 inches overnight. That was not just the water. You can water your lawn for a week and never get that result. That was the atmospheric nitrogen being electrified and injected into the soil by the lightning. If you have ever noticed this post-storm miracle, type the word thunder in the comments below. Tell me I am not the only one who sees this. Because what we are about to do with this copper wire is to replicate that thunderstorm every single day right in your vegetable patch. In the 1920s, a French scientist named Justin Christofleau made a discovery that should have changed agriculture forever. He was not using GMO seeds. He was not using sacks of nitrogen. He was using simple wooden poles and copper wires. He designed what he called electromagnetic tarot-celestial apparatus. It sounds complicated, but the design was ancient. By orienting these antennas towards the magnetic north, he created a circuit between the sky and the earth. The results were documented in photographs that still exist today. Oats growing 7 feet tall, potatoes that were immune to blight, and cabbages so large a single man could barely lift them. He proved that plants do not eat chemicals. They eat energy. The soil is just the stomach, but the atmosphere is the food. So how does the copper wire actually work? It comes down to conductivity and geometry. Copper is the third most conductive metal on Earth, right behind silver and gold. It is the nervous system of our modern world. It carries our internet, our power, and our data. When you stick a copper wire into the ground, you are essentially creating a lightning rod for subtle energy. But the magic happens when you shape it. You don't just stick a straight wire in the dirt, you have to coil it, specifically in a spiral. Look at a snail shell. Look at a sunflower. Look at a galaxy. Nature moves in spirals. It is the path of least resistance for energy. This is known as the Fibonacci sequence. When you wind your copper wire into a spiral shape like a funnel, you create a vortex. It acts like a vacuum cleaner for atmospheric electricity. It pulls the static charge from the air, spins it down the wire, and discharges it directly into the root zone. This tiny electrical current does two things. First, it wakes up the soil. It stimulates the bacteria and fungi to reproduce at a massive rate. Second, it opens the mouths of the plant leaves, the stomata, allowing them to breathe in more carbon dioxide. It is a turbocharger for photosynthesis. But here is the problem. You cannot patent a spiral. You cannot trademark a piece of copper wire that you bought at the hardware store for $5. And that brings us to the uncomfortable truth. The chemical companies realized they could not monetize this. If every farmer in America put a few copper sticks in their field, the fertilizer industry would collapse overnight. So they buried the research. They funded the universities to teach chemical agriculture instead of energetic agriculture. They labeled Christofleau a madman, and for 80 years we forgot. Now I have to ask you a serious question about how you see the world. Some people listening to this will say, this is just physics, it makes sense. Others will say, this sounds like magic or woo-woo science. I want you to pick a side. Do you trust the old world methods that worked for centuries before chemicals existed? Or do you trust the modern science that tells you to spray poison on your food to make it grow? Type old school if you trust the ancients. Type modern if you trust the labs. Let's see where this community really stands. Because if you are ready to try the old school way, you need to know how to build the antenna correctly. If you do it wrong, nothing happens. If you do it right, you might never buy fertilizer again. Here is the blueprint. You can build this in 5 minutes. You need 2 things: a wooden stick or a dowel and some bare copper wire. Do not use coated wire. We need the metal to touch the air. Take the wire and wrap it around the top of the stick. But this is the important part. You must create a spiral, like a spring, or like the tip of a unicorn horn. Wind it tight at the bottom and let it get wider as it goes up. This shape creates the vortex. Leave a long tail of wire hanging off the bottom about 6 to 8 inches. Now go to your garden. Find a plant that looks weak. Push the wooden stick into the soil next to the plant. Make sure that long tail of copper wire is buried deep in the dirt near the roots. The spiral points up to the sky. The tail connects to the earth. You have just closed the circuit. You don't need batteries. You don't need plugs. The atmosphere is the battery. The copper is the conductor. The earth is the receiver. But a word of warning, this energy is powerful. Do not turn your entire garden into a copper grid on day 1. Start with one plant. Compare it to the others. Be the scientist that the school system refused to train. This is not just a gardening trick. This is an act of reclaiming lost knowledge. They want you to believe that the only way to feed the world is through industrial factories and patented chemicals. They want you to be a consumer, not a creator. But the truth is, the most advanced technology on Earth is nature itself. We just forgot how to plug it in. If you are ready to break free from the chemical cycle, then welcome to the resistance. If you made it to the end of this video, prove it to me. Type the word copper in the comments below. Let the algorithm know that we are digging up the secrets they tried to bury. Hit the like button to charge this video with positive energy. And subscribe to Ancestral Garden, because the revolution will not be televised. It will be grown.